everybody. Welcome to another episode of What a Hell of a Way to Dad. It is Francis. It is Nate. It is the final week of February. The shortest month, once again, blew right on by. And we're coming in, God, thank fucking God, Nate, it's almost spring. Like, I know that I live in an area where, like, look, it's going to be cold sometimes in March. I've seen ice storms in April, but there's something psychologically about March that I need to get to, because that January, February time is just massive seasonal depression for me. And not helpful by the fact that it's like, I got to get taxes done, I got to get on, and I'm super busy at work, and then just feeling sad because I'm cold. But March is around the corner. Garden Chat is around the corner. So looking forward to that. Nate, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. Yeah, same here. It's actually really warm this week, and it's like the forecast says partially cloudy, but it's actually been really sunny, and it's like low 60s, high 50s, low 60s. It's cold at night. It's like close to freezing at night, but
sure.
I took my daughter to daycare today, and she wanted to like do her little push scooter, and it was like flawless sun. Yesterday I had to run some errands, and I took the long route while I was walking so I could walk through this park and just be like basking in the sun. And it was just after school got out, and I think I've never seen as many families with kids in the park as I have at that point. And it's like everyone is just absorbing sunlight because it's been really rainy these past couple of weeks and like pretty grim. And then earlier in the winter, it was very, very cold here for a long time. And so I think in particular, like, you know, this is a very urbanized city. It's a very densely populated city. We live in probably the densest part of it. And so basically everyone lives in apartments. And so it's like pretty much, I mean, not everyone has balconies, but they're pretty common. Most apartments do, but that's not really the same. And so everyone who's got like school age kids or younger, it's like just being able to go out and just be outside and it's comfortable is so nice. And if the kids like fall over, they're not going to get like wet, cold, muddy, snowy, whatever. Yeah. I was walking home yesterday and just like, you could kind of smell the kind of wet mud, winter ending, life returning smell, and like there's like grass growing, it's like green in some places, and I'm just like, thank Christ, because yeah, it's depressing. Yeah, we had a good heavy snow, and then about a week of below zero temperatures, so all the snow stuck around. But then we get that one glorious day. Like when we get into winter and we get into spring, I pack away, like it's winter, I don't need my flannel lined pants anymore, because, you know, I walk the dog in the morning at 6 o'clock, and it's, you know, sometimes it's 9 degrees. I need my nicely lined pants for that. But springtime, I don't. So, but every time we move into winter, and every time, you know, I put all my shorts away, I always leave one pair of shorts out in my drawer, because inevitably we're going to have like one of those 65, 70 degree days in February, which is a glorious day, but like it comes with caveats, because when in Missouri, if it's a nice day in February, like 65 degrees, that means you're going to have 40 mile an hour winds for some reason. Yeah. And also, like while I don't know if you, this may be a Midwest thing, maybe you remember these when you were living here, but do you remember like when it would be nice out in the winter, and then you get these clouds of flies that would just like hang out at face height above sidewalks? Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah. They have them in London too. Yeah. That used to happen in the spring and in the fall, because there were times when I'd go jogging on this trail near our place, or it was kind of a cycle route as well. And when I was taking it to like go to the studio, sometimes you'd be like, oh no, fuck, and have to like like squint, because you're going like fly clouds. Yeah, a little extra protein for your day on your run there. Just run right through them, and there's always right above. It's never like, oh, I'm just gonna be off a little bit to the side. It's always just a big swarm of flies at face height. I mean, you have it here periodically in the summer, spring and summer. You also have a thing, they talk about it in England. I don't know if they have a word for it in the French speaking world, but it is a phenomenon. And you think about the fact that in Britain and here, people don't have screens on windows. There's a thing that we call Flying Ant Day, because it's the day when they all come out to mate, and then the males die. And like, there's just fucking flying ants everywhere. There's a similar thing with like, I don't know if they're flying ants or not, but there's some kind of small winged bug. And in the summer it would happen. There were like, by complete random chance, I remember one morning I was like, oh God, there's a old spider web that's got like 100 of these like little gnats in it. And then I looked out on the balcony, where like on like the ceiling of the balcony, there's probably some old spider webs as well. There's like, I'm not out there with like a brush cleaning it. And similarly, it's like they had just shown up, had a big Matrix mud rave, you know, fucking just mud orgy, and then died. And then like anywhere where there was any kind of like surface that they could have stuck to, they were all stuck to, and just had to go and clean it out. Like, it's gross, but that's just the circle of life, I guess. Yeah. I don't know why. I guess the reason they don't have screens here is because I don't actually really. I mean, bugs aren't as bad in Europe in general.
But you guys keep your, like, I imagine, like, you're not always doing air conditioning or heating,
Nobody
though,
has
right?
Like, almost nobody has air conditioning. Obviously, you have
right,
heating.
So you want to throw your doors open, throw your windows open to, like, air the place out.
100%. Yeah, you always do. Like in the summertime, you pretty much have all the windows open all the time, and there's no.
You just might get a cat that just shows up in your house.
I mean, that was definitely
expecting.
that in the UK. I don't know, man. Like, to be honest, it's normally mild enough, even in the summer, that like in the evenings at night, sometimes you close the doors and windows, like the balcony door or windows, because it's actually kind of cold. It just depends. I would say like people who live in the Pacific Northwest, I know it's changing, but like all the times I've spent in Seattle, it can be pretty hot in the daytime in summer, but then like at night, it's cold enough that you're probably not going to have all the windows open. It's kind of like that. I mean, I remember living in France as a teenager, and like mosquitoes were definitely annoying. Like we had like mosquito coils, like little was it citronella, like plug-in things to keep them away at night, because otherwise you'd get bitten at night. But in general, North America just has way more bugs. And so like having screens is kind of like you'd feel pretty foolish to not. I mean, I knew people in New York who lived in old buildings like that had windows that were like kind of made on site in like the 1800s or something. And so like they didn't have screens, but they would buy like screens from Walmart that are like kind of accordion style things that you can put in the window, because otherwise you go insane, even in New York, where it's really urbanized. You still have mosquitoes, flies, etc. And I don't know, like we don't really get mosquitoes that bad. They spray for mosquitoes regularly in the city.
Oh, that's
but
good.
Like you do definitely have like flies in the house and stuff in the summer. Like it's just a thing. But it's just weird because I think about like, that's the thing where it's like a huge crossover I realized between America and here is that like you kind of just get used to it, and it's nowhere near as bad as it would be in the US, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, well, we're slowly killing off all of our bugs anyway. In the 1970s, you really needed a screen. These days, I don't know. I have a screen to keep my cats inside,
you don't need a screen anymore for your regular bugs. You just need a screen to keep out the mosquitoes that'll give you like fucking dengue in Missouri for some reason.
So Nate, last night was the State of the Union. I didn't watch it because I'm not a crazy person. I assume you didn't watch it because you're not American anymore.
I don't live in America anymore. It's been almost 8 years since I left America, and I don't want to stay up that late. I have a bedtime. Right,
but what I did watch, what I did discover is that Tubi, the free streaming, one of the free streaming channels out there, has a channel that is just constantly playing classic Price is Right.
Oh God!
And my wife and I put that on, and I didn't realize how much of a calming like balm Bob Barker is like in the 80s, because this is what I watched when I was sick. Right. You'd be sick at home. I didn't have cable. I only had a few different channels that you could watch, but we watched the shit out of some Price is Right. And one of the things that was on there, and I'm wondering because Price is Right, if you watch it now, the prizes are not that fabulous. Like you get a new AMC Eagle station wagon, sure, but like sometimes it's like here's some Fisher Price stuff, here's like a hand vac or whatever. But I tell you, one of the ones we watched had a gigantic waterbed. Do you remember the waterbed craze of the 80s and 90s?
I do, yeah, I do. I remember being on waterbeds, but my parents never owned one. But like either friends' parents did when we were like little kids, and we would like jump on the bed or something, or like relatives did. And yeah, I recall.
Yes, I had a waterbed when I was one of my uncles had one, and then he was getting rid of it, and I said, "Oh my God, I want a waterbed." And my parents did not know any better at the point to say, "Of course you don't want a waterbed, you idiot. No, you don't. Don't bring this thing inside." But I had a waterbed, and they just don't exist anymore. And I remember waterbeds like on the Price is Right. The big, it was a canopy waterbed. So it's got the big canopy on top, this great, beautiful inlaid shelves and everything, and mirrors everywhere. And I guess it feels like that waterbeds at the time was like, this is in the 70s and 80s, like this is how you were a freak, and we could like say it out loud. Because what reason is there for a mirror on the ceiling of your bed other than to watch yourself fuck? Like I can't imagine like, oh, I'm gonna wake up and I want to look at myself first thing in the morning up there while I'm waking up. So it was a very straight,
it's got to be only for sex. Right. Because I certainly, like, if I wake up first in the morning, the last thing I want is to see my horrific visage looking back down at me. Also, yeah, it assumes a lot.
Like I look bad enough on a good day. Like I don't need it in first thing in the morning. I think most apartment buildings like probably ban them too, because it's just a big sack of water in your house.
Yeah, and if it bursts, just water goes everywhere.
Yeah, where's that water going except for down to the guy below you, you know? Or
there's a place that I walk when I take my daughter to daycare. It's in the greater big complex that we live in, which is it's quite large. Like our building has, I think, 20 apartments in it, and I don't know how many buildings there are in this complex, but it's certainly double digits, probably like 20 or 30 of like the buildings to build all these units. And one of them, if you walk through this big open courtyard, there's like a school and like a big like kind of combined area schools, like cafeteria they bring the kids to, and like what they call a ludothek, which is like a toy library for kids. It's really cool.
Okay.
All this stuff. And so you walk through this like kind of common area, but you're walking through a big courtyard where like you're kind of in the interior courtyard of like a big complex of apartments. And then at the very end, you kind of go through this one where some of the apartments are literally like almost like it's not a pedestrian bridge, but you know, that kind of style of like a thing, like above, like as you walk underneath it, there's this open space, and that's where like there's a little like street crossing and you get to like this other trail that goes to a park. And so like whoever's apartment is there is directly above the, you know, the kind of like courtyard, like suspended, not like on the sides, but literally like suspended above it because it's like a bridge. And I noticed recently, I was like, oh, there's always water. And I always thought like they were cleaning something. And then I was like, oh no, water is running from that apartment.
Oh no.
And it's always wet. And I'm like, I'm not the only person who goes through this. There's cleaning stuff. Someone's got to have identified this. But that, I mean, it's not my apartment. It's not my building. But if something bad happens there, like it's not going to affect me all the way over on our side because we live, you know, way on the other side. However, there's a part of me that's like, even a waterbed would have stopped leaking by now. What's going on here?
Like at some point, this water is gonna have to stop here. And it is that kind of like dad mentality of like there's something broken here, and I know it's not going to affect me.
On this. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, somebody could slip, but also it's like this isn't my responsibility. But what if somebody doesn't know?
I mean, I know how to say, running water, leaking, etc. in French. I can describe the situation.
Yeah, but who would you say
it to? And also, like if I would tell like one of the groundskeepers, like he fucking knows. He drives past in a little electric gator thing that they got. They have these badass little like maintenance vehicles that are like mini trucks. Like they're rated, they can only go like 40 or 50 kilometers an hour. Like they're not meant for like main roads. They're like meant for like neighborhood roads and like driving around as groundskeeper vehicles, but they're electric trucks. They're like, imagine an even smaller bongo truck. They're cool as shit. And I see them around because like they're constantly doing maintenance, doing like cleaning up trash, leaf blowing, doing gardening, whatever, like all this stuff, spraying the walkways. Like they love some public cleanliness in this country. And also it feels like everyone has a fucking dog. And so it's like they have to, because even though people do pick up dog poop, like some people don't. And in a city this dense, a handful of people not picking up dog poop becomes a problem very fast. And certainly like dog pee. Like when it's really hot in the summer, I will notice some people are actually good about this, that when they take their dogs, they bring like a bottle of tap water to like pour it over where the dog pee, because otherwise it just becomes hellaciously stinky. But like, there's a lot of maintenance going on because it is just, for one, it's the society here, but also like it is just so densely populated. And so like, I'm sure tons of people are seeing this, and they're whipping around in their badass little mini bongo trucks. And it's like, I don't know if it's like it's getting solved, or they're like, not my monkeys, not my circus. You know what I mean? Not my waterbed, not my problem.
That's the wet apartment. That's the one that's always just slightly damp. This is how they like it up there. Yeah, you speaking of the little drive around, there's an annoying thing that's been happening in St. Louis, especially in my area. As I affectionately call them, Hoosier is an insult here. But Hoosiers have, a little bit of money. So sometimes we call them the Bourgeoisie. And they will drive around.
I hate you for this.
I find
the Hoosier as a demonym annoying. Don't get me wrong. And I'm like no like affinity or like allegiance to it. But I also that's an assembly of words I really just wish I never had to hear.
The Bourgeoisie.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, well, the Bourgeoisie are driving around in golf carts in our neighborhood.
That was a thing. That was a thing in Indiana too. And then when I went to see a friend of mine in Georgia when we were still in high school, like annoying, like cashed up suburban Atlanta families, they fucking loved golf carts. Way more than Indiana even.
And they're taking them out on like they're not taking them on the highways, but they're taking them on the main roads. And like my wife one time went to one of the Targets, years ago, and she saw that a woman had taken a golf cart and her 3 children, who were all under the age of 10, on a golf cart to go to Target. Now, more than likely, she lived in this very nice neighborhood that was parked right behind the Target, but there's no roll cage on a golf cart. There's no seat belts on a golf cart. And these are 3 wiggly kids who are, like, get in here with the shopping we have to go home in the golf cart. And more than once, Nate, I have seen people drunk as shit driving those things around.
When I was in Honduras, they used them to get around the base, and like they were obviously like, it's hot there, it's a tropical country, and they our protocol office for like the Joint Task Force commander had like a super like Bugatti golf cart, electric golf cart. Was nice. And one night the driver had taken it to one of the on-post bars and then drunk drove it and crashed it into a ditch. And like, so I know all about drunk driving golf carts. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I did a little, I'll admit, when one of the times we were down in Disney, Disney has a campground called Fort Wilderness, and you can rent golf carts there.
I love how they have to call it Fort Wilderness because like the imperial mindset has to extend to camping at Disney World.
Yeah. Well, look, Disney World is expensive, and some people want to, they want to bring their RVs, they want to bring their trailers.
Homestead. They want to carve out civilization from wild nature in Disney World.
More than one, like when we were there, and let me tell you, Fort Wilderness is great because it's a completely different place to be than the rest of, because people will go there and stay there for like a month and just like camp at Disney because you got a lot of really nice amenities. There's showers, there's bathrooms, there's gestaurants. Like if you're gonna glamp, Disney I guess is the place to do it. But it's just weird to me because
it's like you could do that anywhere where there's national parks where you can park RVs or go camping as well. And it's like the fact that it has to be Disney.
But it's not Disney. What are you talking about?
Why does everything have to be mediated through the lens of Disney? Why is it's like is there something like just inherently special about it? Because like
oh my god, yes.
What is there? Is it like Kingdom Hearts out in the woods? Are you like going on quests with Goofy and the characters from Final Fantasy VII? Like what's going on?
Fucking look, Fort Wilderness has one of my favorite restaurants, which is called the Hoop-de-Doo Review. The Hoop-de-Doo Review is a whole like for you Missouri boys, it's kind of like Branson if Branson was in Missouri. So it's this whole like kind of singing, dancing. You get family style food. You get free like the entire time. They'll keep bringing you sangrias and Yinglings, and you can get drunk as shit watching on stage big like kind of country western dance.
That sounds like hell.
Thing.
That sounds like fucking hell to me. Why? It's just like hillbilly kitsch, man. Like hillbilly kitsch, but it's the ride for It's a Small World after all. Also, it's just every stereotype of the fucking I don't know like of shit. What is that called? That part of southern Missouri called the mountains down there. What's the term?
The Ozarks.
Yeah, it's Ozarks. Yeah. It's a small world after all. Like
yeah, and it's fucking great, dude.
So basically, you're saying my ideal vacation is to live in an episode of Hee Haw.
Well, I'm not saying it's my ideal vacation, but it is a nice, it's a nice dinner.
Okay, maybe I'm being classist, but I don't know, man. Like, I love going to weird, fucked up Americana stuff when it's just like a thing that exists on its own. But when it's been like, I don't know if I told you this story, but like Brits have no concept of what an American establishment would be like on the inside. And so like when they have kind of like, there's this horrible chain of cocktail bars in London called Simmons, and it's trying to be like an East Village, like cocktail bar kind of place. And I've been to those kinds of places in real life, and they basically never last long because like the landlords charge too much in rent. The neighbors complain too much about noise. There was this amazing one called Heather's on 2nd Street in the East Village that used to go to. Gone for years because fucking a landlord and complaining neighbors. However, Simmons was kind of going for that vibe of like cocktail bar / like they play cool music / it has neon sign kind of, it's giving, I saw the stuff from the outside. I'm like, okay, I see what they're going for. I go in and it's got like Route 66 signs, like, metal signs for like old Coca-Cola ads and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, is this like a rest stop? Is this like a tourist restaurant? Like, I don't know, on like I-10 or something? Like what's like their concept of Americana is everything American all at once, regardless of context. And it's so uncanny because you go to the bar and it's like, it kind of looks like an antique shop, but they're playing Biggie. Like it's very weird.
Did you ever watch Arrested Development?
I've seen bits, but I haven't watched a ton of it. No.
They had a running bit where Michael is dating a British woman and he keeps meeting her in Little Britain, and they have in Little Britain, as soon as you drive in, you have to drive on the other side of the road. But they have an American style restaurant in Little Britain. I can't remember what the name of it is.
American style restaurants in Britain quite a bit,
but they're constantly like it's the waiter is a guy with a big cowboy hat, and he's just like but in a British accent, like, yeehaw, y'all are here.
It's happened to me before because a lot of Brits are now like American sports fans that when they hear my accent, they ask me like I was in a restaurant. We were in England mixing the record last week. And I was in this restaurant, like this little cafe in this little town in West Sussex. And the kid working the counters couldn't have been more than 18 or 19, recognized my accent. He's like, what part of America are you from? And I'm like, well, I'm from near Chicago. And he's like, oh, it's like actual Chicago. I was like, no, I'm from Indiana. He's like, oh, I know it because I watch NFL. And I'm like, really? And he's like, you watch the Super Bowl? I'm like, no, did you? And he's like, yeah, I did actually. I was like, yeah. He's like, I'm actually kind of a Patriots fan. I'm like, well, we can't be friends, obviously, because I'm a Colts fan. And he's like, it's okay. I don't watch them all the time. And I was like, that's fine. I was like, I mean, the Patriots, I'm just mad because the Colts could never play in the snow and they always forgot that it snows in New England in February. And I was like, and also they just love cheating by deflating footballs. He's like, oh my God, you are actually salty about it. I met a real American sports fan.
You met one American sports fan and immediately started a rivalry with him. Fantastic. That's American. But it's just
very funny because it's happened before. Yeah, people will, like, I remember going to a burger place in London one time after a TF show, and like the guy was asking me about. He's like, I'm a Packers fan. Like, I like the NFL. And I'm like, yeah, man, I was a Colts fan growing up, but like the time zone changes, the time zone difference is killer, and I'm not staying up to watch a football game that many games per season, let alone the Super Bowl, where like 2/3 of it is fucking stupid ads. Like so. But it is weird, like that level of, that level that you do have it happen that Brits are into American stuff. Less so here because there is the language barrier, but the Brits actually are like into American sports in the same way that like there are a lot of American, English Premier League fans, like people who like get up balls early to watch like some horrible football club in Plymouth play or something like that.
There's a Ipswich flag.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that to yourself? Why the fuck would you care? I mean, I lived like 2 miles from Crystal Palace, like where they train and play at. Do you think I gave a fuck about Crystal Palace? No. I mean, it's a cool name because the Crystal Palace is a cool thing, but like that's the
Crystal Palace is the name of the first strip club I ever went to.
Do you know the story of the Crystal Palace? The real Crystal Palace?
I haven't heard. No. What is the story?
The Crystal Palace was created for, I don't remember the name of the exhibition, but it was like in the Victorian era, and I want to say it was in like the 1850s or 60s. It might have been a little bit later, but it was like the first really big example, and it was like a world marvel at the time of that kind of like metal frame and glass construction. I want to say it was like sort of like some kind of exposition, like, World Fair kind of thing. And they had it installed in central London for this exposition. And it was like a massive success. People were really impressed. I mean, it was huge. It was like, I don't want to say like a half a mile long, but it was really big and like big open atriums and hallways and like multiple stories and all this stuff. And then after the exposition, they wanted to just dismantle it and get rid of it. And there was kind of an outcry. So like, okay, fine, we'll put it somewhere else. So they put it in southeast London. But like far out southeast London, like back in those days, it was like almost to Croydon, which Croydon is out of London. Like when you get into Croydon, you're in a different postcode, and it's in Greater London, like the urban area, but like it's actually a different city, or at least parts of it are. So Crystal Palace is now literally Sydenham, that area. Like that's actually like its own neighborhood now. It's called that, but they built it, they moved it down there, and they had like fairs and stuff every year, but it like got like seedier and seedier, and then it kind of became like where you went to go like buy stolen goods and like pay for sex and stuff like that. It was kind of like,
and then DVDs,
yeah, 1920s DVDs and stuff, and like go pay to have sexual relations with a woman or a man or whatever you wanted. It was shady, but they would do like these trains during like the festive stuff, like to get down there. So it was like a thing, and then like it just fell to disrepair. Then one night it caught on fire, and it's like, I don't know how a metal and glass building catches on fire, but once it did, it went up so in fucking flames they absolutely couldn't do anything about it. The whole thing burned to the ground in like 1936. Like you could see it, the glow for miles, and when it was done, there was nothing of it left. So they just cleaned it up, but they left the building stand and they built like a park around it. Like there's a big athletic center there. There's a football stadium that I think that's where Crystal Palace used to train and play, but they don't anymore. They went somewhere else. But going down there, it's so surreal because like there's this enormous like pedestal where the building used to be that's completely empty. So you feel like you're on like the ruins of a vanished city. And then there's this huge open park. There's this, the training area and the leisure center, the athletic center are so big that like most of the time it's not that busy. So it just feels like incredibly oversized architecture. Like, I don't know if you've ever played Disco Elysium, but that Crystal Palace Park is like Revachol. Like it fully feels like something out of Disco Elysium. And there's also like a forest walk where there's randomly big statues of dinosaurs. I don't know why. Like it's such a...
Because dinosaurs fucking are
they're cool and
man.
They're painted too, like colorful dinosaurs out in the woods.
Do they have feathers?
No feathers. They're pre-feathers. They're pre-woke dinosaurs.
Okay, good. As God intended, apparently. Apparently not as God intended.
So like, I went down there one time during COVID because I was bored out of my mind, and we were allowed, like technically at the time, we were allowed to do like one leave the house for athletics event a day. So I got on my bike and rode down there. The thing is, I had a single speed bike at the time, and like South London is really hilly as you keep going further south. And so like at points I had to like walk my bike because there was no way I was getting up the hill. It was just so steep. And when I finally get there, I was just like, this is so strange. It's so eerie. And it's like, it was a really bright sunny day, like completely cloudless in, March 2020. And I'm just kind of walking around like I said, like not ruins of a former city. It's like they fucking zapped it with one of those things from Star Trek that just like completely removes it entirely. It's like they transported it to a different dimension and there's just no city left. It's so strange, but it's maintained. It's not overgrown. So you just have this feeling of like, oh, a city used to be here and now a park is here and nobody knows why. Like it's cool, but it's strange. And so, I was just thinking about that. But notionally speaking, I should have been, closer to me was Millwall FC, but Millwall is famously like the most racist football club in England. So,
that's a hard
definitely
one
was not gonna. Yeah, I know, right? So I definitely was not gonna to be a Millwall fan.
Yeah, there was a lot of the American hockey team beat Canada for the gold medal, and I watched the game, very exciting game, but a lot of people were suddenly like, I can't believe that the hockey players are all a bunch of right-wing chuds. It's like, whoa, you should have walked into this knowing that in the first place.
I have a friend who's played hockey like his entire life until he left school. He's gay, and he was just mentioning, he's like, I haven't watched Heated Rivalry because whatever they depict in the film, it won't be right-wing or homophobic enough to the point where I'll feel like I'm watching some kind of like fairy tale kind of alternate dimension shit. He's like, I'm sorry, but hockey is the most homophobic and right-wing sport. Like, does it surprise you that these guys are this way? It's like, it's also the sport that you have to be like the richest to play in America, so not really a surprise. Whereas in Canada, a little less so, because like the climate was such, maybe less so now.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody's got some hand-me-down skates.
The lake did actually freeze and stay frozen, so you could like go play hockey on the lake kind of thing. Whereas in America, it's like, no, you have to go to the ice rink, pay all this money, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I haven't watched Heated Rivalry. The only gay hockey show I watch is Bourgeoisie, which is actually a very Bourgeoisie is at least hockey but woke.
I don't know anything about this. Tell me about Bourgeoisie then, because I haven't watched either, but I did watch the scene where they play the Wolf Parade song because my friend Dan is a member of Wolf Parade, so I was like, cool, they used Dan's song, and it kind of like made them the most popular band on Spotify for a couple of days, and now it's like really like kickstarted people wanting for them to tour and stuff, so that's cool.
Yeah, Bourgeoisie, if you ever watched Letterkenny, Letterkenny was a show that was on, it was a Canadian, it is a Canadian show, but the guy who did Letterkenny stopped that and did Bourgeoisie, which is about Canadian hockey. They're like they're a AAA team. It's not NHL, but it's very funny. But it takes place in Canada. All the woman who runs the hockey team is First Nations. There's a lot of First Nations playing. They have one guy who only speaks in French. Like everybody understands him. He just does not speak English. He speaks French the entire time. There's another guy who does not speak English and only speaks French, and they always insult him in English. But it's a very there's 6 episodes per season. It has some really great hockey like scenes in it. Watching that made me like, oh, I do actually like hockey. I like the speed of hockey. I like the hits of hockey. It's very fight centric, but it also it takes all that like homophobia out. It takes all of the racism and sexism and everything. And it's just like, no, this is hockey and this is what we're going to do, but also make it funny. So Bourgeoisie, if you want to watch a hockey show that isn't going to make you feel feelings, I don't know what Heated Rivalry is about. All I know is gay guys play hockey.
Relationship. I mean, I don't really know anything about it other than it was based on like a romance novel. And like I said, and the Wolf Parade song, All Believe in Anything, gets featured in like a pivotal scene. And it's like, it's been a big deal. While Dan and I were working together, he got a notification that Mark Carney, the PM of Canada, had done an Instagram reel using their song. Definitely hadn't mentioned it or asked or anything, but did. So,
well, I think what you would like most about Bourgeoisie is it does have an incredible soundtrack. Like the music that they use in there.
I wonder if the same guy who produced and did the syncs for Heated Rivalry did it, because hilariously Dan told me that guy, I forget his name, that guy found out about Wolf Parade because of the podcast Bottleman that I produced with Dan and Riley in 2020, 2021. Right. And so they got to be friends. And then he was like, well, I think this would fit for this scene. And he chose that song and featured it. And it kind of like, I mean, they were definitely like massively like critically acclaimed, like indie favorite band from the 2000s, but like it's really changed their fortunes. And that's something I did. I mean, it wasn't my show. I just produced it. But like, it's cool to see the kind of knock-on effects. But it was weird, like having these big kind of like, oh, it keeps going. More and more heated rivalry / Wolf Parade stuff is happening. Like while I was working with, somebody whose music I've admired since I was in college, and is now like a close friend. So it's weird. I didn't know about Shorzy. I'm always hit or miss on Canadian stuff because sometimes it can be really funny, and sometimes it's like, this isn't funny at all. Why do you guys like it so much? Corner Gas is a great example of this. But I mean, Kids in the Hall was actually really funny, but also a lot of the skits like aren't funny at all. So,
you know, a Canadian show that I really liked, I don't think not very many other people watched it, was Little Mosque on the Prairie.
No.
Did you ever watch that one?
Trailer Park Boys. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Trailer Park Boys is so good. I didn't know anything about it.
I think if you like Trailer Park Boys, I think you'd like Shorzy.
Okay.
The problem with Letterkenny that I have is that they do that thing where they're like, let's take a joke and run it into the ground, and they do that like every episode. And I get why people like that. It's not for me. Shorzy kind of takes that all out of it. But yeah, Trailer Park Boys. Like I've watched most of it. My wife has not, but I made her watch the episode where they're running drugs across the Canadian border on a train because Sebastian Bach is a train enthusiast, and so Sebastian Bach is in it because my wife was a big hair metal head back in the day. So like you got to watch this with Sebastian Bach transporting drugs across on a model train because Sebastian Bach loves model trains, and so they get with him. They're like, we can smuggle drugs across the Canadian border into America using model trains. It's fantastic.
That's funny that your wife likes hair metal. I don't really, but I fucking loved hair metal when I was like 6. I absolutely loved the worst hair metal. And my parents thought that getting me a metal magazine for my 6th birthday would be like, okay, he'll like get bored with it because he'll read it. Instead, I like 2 things. Number one, I basically like took out any pictures of bands and like put them up on my wall.
100%,
so I had a picture of Poison. I had a picture of Queensryche for some reason. I had a picture of Rat, Motley Crue on the wall. But also another problem. It was a heavy metal magazine for heavy metal fans or hair metal fans in Germany in the early 90s. It wasn't intended for kids. There was some stuff in there that's like, I learned what the word bestiality meant from a cartoon in there, among other things. So like, it was an interesting moment. I don't really like hair metal, but I do have a soft spot for a few of those bands and some of their songs. And I will say, I don't want to open too big of a parentheses. I would love to hear your wife's opinion on this. One of the things that has shocked me about hair metal is that there are a few, big hits by some of these bands that were actually good in my opinion. But one of the weirdly shocking things, I don't really like Motley Crue. I'm not going to lie. However, the single Livewire from Too Fast for Love, their first album from the early 80s, is insanely good. It's so fucking good. And I was just like, damn, guys, I wish you'd done more of this shit. Because the only band I've ever heard that even sounds close to what early Motley Crue sounded like, and I'll admit I'm not really like learned in this subject, is this band called X Japan that was a Japanese hair metal band, like Visual Kei hair metal band in the 80s. They had to call themselves X Japan because there's a famous LA punk band from America called X, so they had to differentiate themselves. But like, I never got into the genre, but my favorite song when I was 6 was Unskinny Bop by Poison, which is not a good song.
No,
it's so bad. I don't. No, Talk Dirty to Me is a good
round.
Dude.
What goes around comes around.
All right, listen. Every Rose Has Its Thorn is not a good song. It sucks. And the lyrics are stupid.
Okay. All right.
Unskinny Bop doesn't make any sense, but it's Skinny Bop.
It's
just
a bop.
Blows me away. Yeah, but it's like all about sex, but it doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
But Talk Dirty to Me is actually a really good song, and it kind of sounds like it's like you're a hair metal band that's venturing ever so slightly into show tunes, almost like At the Drive-In Double Feature. Like, it's so fucking campy.
I would be surprised if there's not a hair metal musical out there, because I mean, hair metal wasn't just the music; it was also the look, the blown out hair, the makeup, the
fireworks,
scarves.
and the fucking
a chest, your bare chest, but like wearing 7 scarves at the same time. Like that really lends itself. And I recently I recorded a episode with Eric from Soundtracker about 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. So I am 100% up on musicals right now, and definitely show tune-esque. Like I feel like you couldn't do it with Motley Crue, but probably with Poison you could do a musical. I'll have to ask my wife if there is a
What's so funny, because of show tunes, I just realized I made a mistake. When I was trying to riff and sing Talk Dirty to Me, I was actually blending 2 songs, because it actually goes at the the driving in the old man's Ford. What? And then I started singing double feature, like fucking driving double feature from fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
It's basically like hair metal is basically Rocky Horror Picture Show with faster guitars, faster
It's got
BPMs.
Meatloaf in it.
Yeah, yes, Meatloaf is basically hair metal, but not quite. Like
he's flirting with the. I'm sure there's the handshake across the aisle there, but
100%, 100%. No, Meatloaf. I mean, shit. Bad of Hell is so fucking good and so stupid. Like the level of just this is so fucking dumb. Like I absolutely love it. But like Dr. Feelgood is fine. But it's not. It's just there were actually some good songs along the way. And one band that I will say like is definitely hair metal, although people don't want to call them that. Like they sound so close to hair metal at like the early days that it's unfair to say they're not. Is Guns N' Roses. Like let's be real, they weren't actually a hair metal band, but they were so adjacent to it that like they're almost indistinguishable in my opinion. Maybe this is like Gen X sacrilege, but I've actually listened to Appetite for Destruction and Use Your Illusion 1 a lot, and like they're basically hair metal. Sorry.
Yeah, I think so.
Axl Rose even does annoying hair metal guy voice fucking at the end of Out to Get Me. So like, I'm just saying it's the same genre.
Yeah. I didn't have the hair metal experience when I was younger. The dumb shitty music I was listening to was that made no sense with Smashing Pumpkins.
Which is basically, as I call it, Midwest Led Zeppelin. Let's be real here. Like I 100% was into them too.
Yeah. I do like, you listen to music now, and I try not to do the old man thing where I'm just like the damn kids and their music that doesn't make any sense, because our damn music didn't make any sense either. Like none of the music
none of it does. Yeah.
that we listened to made any sense. It was tonally nice, and they threw some lyrics in there so it'd stick in our heads a little bit better.
Yeah, they had pretty good hooks. They nailed down production stuff. I mean, some of the stuff is like, it's weird. Some of the stuff is pretty out there musically in terms of like actually being really creative, and sometimes it's because there was like a combination of knowing a ton about a certain element of how one plays these instruments, but not necessarily caring or knowing that much about others. Like the guys from Soundgarden wrote a ton of songs that are in weird time signatures, but they didn't do it intentionally. They weren't like, oh, I want to write a song in this weird time signature. They just were jamming and came up with something, and it worked in that rhythm. So they did it that way. But like some of their songs, like, I mean, famously another song with an insane, not insane, but difficult time signature is Possum Kingdom by the Toadies. Mm-hmm. Cynthia told me once that she was in a spin class where like you had to like cycle on the beat, and there was like an alt rock, 90s alt rock spin class. And that song was like throwing people the fuck off. I'll explain this for you really quickly. So I don't know, do you ever take music in school or take piano or anything like that?
I did. I did Glee Club. That's about it.
So obviously,
I got a musical background.
You know a little bit of background about tempo and also like time signature. Like, so, the idea of it being in bars and repetitions and things like that. And so like, per measure, there'll be your very standard rock and roll stuff is typically going to be in 4/4. So there's 4 beats per measure, or sometimes measure is called bar. And so like, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 3, 3, that kind of thing, counting it out. Right. And famously the waltz time signature is 3/3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, like that. Right. Possum Kingdom is written in a way where it's basically, you could say that it's 15, 16, but what it really is 1 bar of 7 and 1 bar of 8 repeating. So da dun 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 da dun. It does it twice at the end, so that's a bar of 8. But it's only 1 the first time, so it's basically 7/8 and then 8/8 is and it will throw you the fuck off if you're not expecting it. Mm-hmm. And it's very funny. It's like, that was probably just cool. They came up with like, this whips ass, let's do it this way. 100% I've watched interviews with, because Matt Cameron's a phenomenal drummer, and he was just like, Matt Cameron and Kim Dial talking about this from Soundgarden. They're like, no, we just played this riff and it was cool. We just did it that way. And so you do get, it's pretty out there musically, and there's like definitely bands like Soundgarden and the Smashing Pumpkins, like we're doing, Billy Corgan's an insane songwriter. He's a dick, but he's an insane songwriter. And like, no shade to Courtney Love, is a very controversial figure for a lot of unfair reasons, but like the first whole album, the first whole album, completely different sound, but it's good. Courtney Love is a good songwriter, is a good singer, is a good musician. Don't get me wrong, but one of the reasons why Celebrity Skin has such insanely good songs is she co-wrote them with Billy Corgan, and like some of the stuff that he helped kind of add in that, like you have that kind of like, it's the same reason why good Pumpkin songs are so good. Like the dude's got an incredible knack for songwriting. He's a really good guitarist. I haven't seen them live, but I've seen live footage, and like some of those songs he's playing and singing, and he's a pretty bad singer even in the studio, and he's a terrible singer live, but he's not fucking fucking up while he's playing ridiculous ass stupid thrash songs on the guitar and also singing. Like those bands were good, but there also were a lot that, I mean, like a band that give them a break because they were kids and they did at least write their own songs. Fucking Silverchair. Oh my God, their lyrics were terrible. And like their songs were quite basic musically, but like, I don't know, man, you made me perform in front of hundreds of thousands of people when I was 17. I probably would have been playing fucking, I would have been writing Bohemian Rhapsody level shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
just throw it down. It's like you said, it's like the MASH theme song where they created this instrumental and somebody said, you need to come up with some lyrics. And so the guy kicked it to his 14-year-old and was just like, I'll figure something out in
so
here.
he wrote Suicide is Painless.
Yes, he did. If you ever like, I don't understand the lyrics of MASH, why is it Suicide is Painless? It was written by a 14-year-old. That's why.
Well, do you remember the thing where they had, there was one of the counties in like the Hudson Valley of New York, they're like a contest for like a sticker to be like, I voted, and like they did it like a crowdsourcing where people could vote on it, like which one they liked the most. So there was like what I might describe as like a very happy looking but completely insane kind of like anthropomorphic spider, and then it just said I voted, drawn by like a 14-year-old. And it was like, cool, that's kind of how 14-year-olds' brains work. So yeah,
we should definitely like a 14-year-old male brain is like that perfect. We've got to cultivate it artistically. And that either means I need you to start drawing fucked up stuff, or I need you to take this instrument and do something weird with it. Not like I need you to play it weird and figure something out so you don't go down this weird right-wing pipeline. 14-year-olds just need to have that creative outlet of just like, your brain is real fuzzy right now. Fucking knock yourself out.
I'm trying to think about stuff that I do when I was in a band when I was 14, like almost 15. And of all the songs we ever recorded, well, we only really ever finished one, and it was a song I had written. And I mean, like I've actually was going through old archive stuff, like to like combine old hard drives, and actually found an MP3 of it. It's not good, but it's also not bad for a band of 14-year-olds. Sure. But it was just funny, like thinking back, I mean, I didn't really necessarily have a ton of resources, but like I taught myself how to do, I mean, I had a cracked copy of Photoshop. I taught myself how to like do collages and do Photoshop things. I also taught myself very basic HTML to like make stupid web pages on like, Angel Fire or whatever. But like I was writing HTML like on, Notepad? On Notepad, yeah, and then putting it up.
I did that too, yeah.
And doing like I can't remember if we could do embedded stuff, but there was this text to speech stuff that I found, and we were doing like making these like building it out, and then because there was this program, Cool Edit, which actually got bought by Adobe and turned into Audition, and I would basically be like writing what you might describe as like fucked up radio play using text to speech in the weird different voices, and then like downloading them as these super low quality files, and then putting them together to assemble this like basically like I'm sure it was just like really 14-year-old ass jokes. I would cringe if I heard them. However, one of my brother's best friends from high school, he runs a quite well-respected and successful modular synthesizer company now. And I used to, he thought this was really funny, and I would send him on, AOL Instant Messenger. I would send him these files of like the stupid fucking text-to-speech things of like writing dumb poems, and like they had like goofy kind of weird pathetic guy. There was a weird guy voice and it sounded like this, and I would do this. And I bought some modules from him, and I'm still learning how to use them because I don't have a ton of time. And modular synth is it's a great way to learn all the fundamentals, but like the way that you make things work together is by patching them in with cables. Like it's very much like hands-on. When I bought these modules from Scott, he sent me an invoice to do a bank transfer to pay for it. And in the invoice comments was, my belly's so round, it sags to the ground. When I play baseball, I play the pitcher's mound, which is one of these stupid poems that I fucking wrote when I was 14. And he remembered it. He fucking remembered it. I couldn't believe it.
That kind of slaps, though. I like that.
Well, I did it also. It was the dumbass voice on it. Like, my belly's so round, it sags to the ground. Like, I don't know why they offered that as one of the voices, but they did. I unfortunately have not kept any of my bad poetry that I wrote when I was 14 years old. But it also was kind of around that. When you're trying to find emotion and when you don't have any experience, and then you just write things like, I don't know, I got a fat belly and I'm throwing the ball. I absolutely didn't base this on emotion. I just did it because I thought it was funny. And I have this ability that I don't think has any real practical application, in the sense that like, I don't know how you'd actually turn it into a thing beyond a gimmick, but I have this ability, and I've had it since I was young, that I can write rhyming couplets, and I just have a weird sense of what's going to work with the meter. And sometimes it's wrong, but most of the time it's correct. Like I know how to get it to actually fit meter, and I can do it pretty fast. And I tend to be able to like, I'm slower now because I'm old, but I tend to be able to like Like you give me like a free 45-minute like study period and I could write like a 50-line rhyming poem and it would be mean as shit and funny. And I would do this a lot. And like, I had a lot of fun with it, but I'm not going to read it. I'm not going to recite it. I do, of course, remember it, but it's best consigned to memory. I one time got in trouble as a freshman in high school because we had to read one of those fucking stupid poems they give you about like what happens when you drink and drive.
Sure.
You know, one of those things like don't drive drunk, kids, except like we were 15. None of us was driving yet, but they made us read this poem about, and it was none of it. It rhymed in a really dumb fucking like obvious way. And the meter was shit. It was like they basically said, this poem doesn't have to actually have any kind of rhythm. It just has to, the words have to rhyme. And I remember that the last line of like, this is what happens to man alive when friends let friends drink and drive. It's a terrible poem. I wrote an alternate ending to the poem with my friends sitting next to me and study in our free study hall period, kind of envisioning a necrophilia aspect to how this poem would end. And
so
unfortunately,
you were basically writing Crash.
Kind of.
Early Crash, not racist Crash, sexy Crash.
Sexy, yeah, David Cronenberg Crash, NC-17 Crash, not R-rated Crash. Unfortunately, it was just too good and people laughed and then the teacher took it and read it. And I got detention for this. So,
well, you're not a proper artist unless you suffer for it at some point, unless you're punished for your First Amendment rights to write what you feel and make a drunk driving story about necrophilia.
I mean, fuck me, dude.
It's their fault. It's their fault. Like, why would they think like I know how to get to these 15-year-olds? Poetry. Like, this isn't oh Captain, my Captain. Like, maybe you're gonna get one guy, but that guy already wasn't gonna drink and drive because he was a huge nerd.
Also, like as I said before, were we going to drunk drive our bikes? We were 15. We didn't have licenses yet, but they made it. I guess it's just like a thing they made us do because it's just like, what if you get in the car with someone? It's like, whose car am I going to get? Like I'm sorry, but
like my dad,
my brother. My brother's not going to be hanging out with me on homecoming weekend. He's doing stuff with his friends. I'm his annoying little brother. Like, what are you talking about? So yeah, I agree with you though. I think that there is a kind of weird spark of creativity there that should be nurtured. You know what I mean? Like it should be. It doesn't mean that it's like fully developed. No. But you
need that. I feel like in your teen years, especially with boys, because girls, for the most part, knowing my wife, women and girls grow up being more okay with being open about their emotions, talking about emotions. Men and boys do not. And I wished because my big outlet was also poetry that nobody would read. I actually I hand wrote a book. A novella, really, at one point.
Wow.
It was a whole vampire thing. It was terrible. But the boys need that, and I wish I could impart to these boys like it's okay to write everything down and then fucking burn it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just get it out of your head. Get it it onto some paper. Maybe save it so that like 10 years from now you can be like, look what a dumbass I was.
Yeah, definitely.
Get it out of your brain.
Don't print it out if it's a screenplay about a werewolf whose bite turns you gay. It's called Boof Man, like I did when I was 13, and also got in trouble for that.
Exactly. Like you gotta get it out of your head. Put it on a hard drive somewhere. Don't let anybody else take a look at it. I don't want to tell you that you shouldn't share your art, but like perhaps you should just perfect it before you start.
I think there's two kind of points that you're touching on here though too, which is one that I think that there is an extent to which some of the creative expression stuff, like growing up, if you were like in a band, like as long as you're like in a badass band, like singing rock songs and shit, like then it wouldn't necessarily be judged. But like writing poetry, like for me, I probably would have benefited from being able to like learn how to do a better job of expressing emotional feelings in poetry. But the only way that I could do it where I wouldn't come across like I was being judged and like it would be kind of deemed as like, questionable or unmanly, which like I said before, like some of the stuff about internalized like homophobia and like weird kind of masculinity stuff in the Midwest was also like a self-defense thing because you'd get your ass kicked if you were perceived as effeminate or as unmanly. So the only way I could do it was by being gross, like by being offensive, like by writing shit that was like stuff I regret. Like I didn't share it with a lot of people, but I did share it with enough people that I probably hurt people's feelings or made them uncomfortable. But like the songs had to be mean and they had to be like disgusting or the poems had to be mean because otherwise it's like you're writing poetry and that's already like, wow, that's gay.
You gotta write cool.
You're in the quantum zone here where you may or may not be gay, but every line of poetry you write that isn't really offensive and like gross that sexual is making us also in either in a heterosexual or a homophobic way is moving you out of that quantum state towards just being perceived as gay. And it's like, that's bad. Like I genuinely think that's bad because like a lot of people have the ability or like it's not that hard either. Like you can learn this stuff. I don't know a fucking thing about music like in the classical sense. I took lessons as a kid. I didn't really like them. I can sight read piano, but not that well. Really not that well. What I do now, I've just learned from like actually working with a teacher who understood how I learned and then just doing it, like having a way to do it. If I can do it, then fucking anyone can. Anyone can do it. And it's like, I wouldn't have waited till I was almost, I was in my mid 30s if that stuff had seemed accessible, but I agree with you. And then on the emotions side, that's a whole other thing. We should like devote a whole episode to that because like people.
Yeah, we gotta dive into this werewolf that makes you gay. Did you know you were bisexual when you wrote the werewolf that bites you and makes you gay?
I was 13.
Because you're opening, I had a lot of cans of worms here.
I had
here.
inklings, I suppose, but not really. I mean, I think I was about that age, maybe. I mean, it was 7th grade.
Did the moon come out and like you were just like, oh, I gotta? No,
it was probably more. It was a little, but I wouldn't have connected the dots. I mean, it's just one of those things where in retrospect, there's some really funny ass fucking dots I can connect, but like I'm not gonna share those on a podcast.
No,
I'm not gonna lie.
and all my like thinking back to my poetry, it was all just like dumb, it's cisgendered male shit. Like I wasn't going through anything tough at the age of 14 other than what every 14-year-old goes through.
I mean, genuinely, I don't think that it was anything to do with me or like sexual identity as at a young age. At that age, so much as jokes about being gay we thought were funny. Yeah, and in retrospect, that's a lot of the kind of internalized homophobia and all the stuff about where we grew up. But like that was if it wasn't just like incredibly low effort, it was perceived as funny. And I, it was like felt pretty awkward and self-conscious. And so I wanted to be perceived as funny. And I knew I had some ability as a writer. So I was like, I'm going to write a fucking screenplay about a werewolf named Boof Man. And shared it with my friends. But unfortunately, I printed it out and someone read it. Yeah. So and they were like, you're actually a good writer, but this is disgusting and horrible. And I was like, oh, what should I do? Write something that everyone's going to make fun of me for? They at least think this is funny.
Right. This is, nobody's going to make fun of me about the gay werewolf. Not I
mean, not in Indiana in 1997. You know what I mean? Like it's just, I mean, you remember how it was back then. I know we got to end this episode, but like, just like people just thought you could just make a joke funny by just not doing any effort besides using a homophobic slur. And I was like, that's fucking hilarious. You know, like that was the climate.
The only thing that's going to make this joke funnier is if you're gay. And that's
being gay makes it funny, like, because that's always bad. It's always a thing that we like, we hold in low esteem. I mean, it wasn't particularly healthy, but looking back on it, it's like everything had to be unserious because anything that was serious was questionable unless it was like, you're trying to do, this was a little before like fucking, new metal shit, but like, it was tough. Like I liked Static X when I was 14, level of bad, you know what I mean? Like you remember Static X, right?
Wayne
Static
X, yeah.
Push It, stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nate, I think we've talked about, we've opened up enough cans of worms today. I think we'll definitely, I would love to spend some time talking more about our own creative processes because like you have your musical outlets. I haven't written in a long time. I just haven't had time, like it's just been it always seems like I got 9 other things that I have to do
I know that feeling,
rather than do the creative outlet thing. But at least like with the store I can do creative stuff and put it up in there, so there is at least can't do anything creative without there being a profit motive to it.
I mean, I'm gonna be straight up with you, dude. When I write songs, I still sometimes come up with ideas because they're funny, and the lyrics are definitely like probably more in common with something I would have written at age 15 than now. But like that's for me to like work through like a hook and make myself laugh, and then you do something serious after. So I mean, like, I haven't changed that much. It's just nothing would get me fucking canceled, but it's definitely not something I would want like out there. Put it that way. You know what I mean?
Right. It's a stair step on the way to our ending, and that's sometimes you got to take a couple steps to get there.
I mean, sometimes you're writing a song and you're like, yeah, that's a really cool hook, and the lyrics are basically something like telling someone to suck my dick, which I mean, like, sometimes I, when I used to ride my bike in London and people would be like fucking blocking the cycle lane, I'd be like, yeah, I do find myself wanting to yell at people sometimes. So I'm going to write a song about that emotion. And you see, like, I'm working through it in a healthy way. And then I can make it into a serious song later. But anyway.
Yes. Suck my cycling dick. Everybody, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. This is the last one for February. So next month is going to be March. It's going to be spring. The birds are going to be out. There's not going to be any more cold weather. Everything's going to be happy and great.
Famously the case ice in the Midwest in March.
Absolutely. Never had a freak ice storm in April. Not once. If you like what we're doing, if you want to hear more, there is, of course, the Patreon. If you sign up today at the $3 or above level, you can get on our free giveaway. I'm giving away a big stack of Desert Storm trading cards. Never been opened. You can get a fresh George Bush and
you can breathe that 1990 air when you open the pack.
Oh yeah, crack it open. You find your A10 Warthogs, your Colin Powells in there, all from 1991 Topps edition. So that is a free giveaway that I do every month. It's going to be so sign up before the end of the month and you'll be entered in to win that. I have the Soundtracker podcast that's going to be coming out on the first Monday in March, where Eric Peacock and I talk about Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, a fantastic musical from the 1950s that is extremely problematic, but also not. There's a lot of kidnapping women in that. It is kind of the plot point is they kidnap a bunch of women and force them to live with them in a cabin in the woods.
Unproblematic kidnapping somehow.
They all fall in love with the boys, so
that
you
makes
know,
it okay, right? In the end,
is
it's actually okay. Like you can do. I mean, that's basically also the plot, or a significant part of the plot of 3 Days of the Condor. So, like, even by the early 70s, we hadn't gotten over this. The kidnapping's okay if she falls in love with you.
Well, they take it as a one of the guys reads a book about the kidnapping of the Sabine women, which was a Roman thing. He's like, look, the Romans
also
just
famously referred to as the rape of the
Sabine women.
Yeah.
Well, they don't say that. They don't say that. They don't call it the rape of the Sabine women. But yes, we do talk about that. But it's still a fantastic musical, great music in it, good songs. So that will be available for you in March. We'll have plenty of other bonus content coming out in March as well. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Nate, thank you for joining me once again, and we will talk to you next week.
Have a good one.